how did you all find each other in this and to tell the story?
Well, we lived in the same town.
Yeah.
We can each tell our own version. We can each tell our own version of it because there's really a sequence in how we came together. Because Jeffrey and I first saw the quilt in Washington at the inaugural display, and we're so, well, you see it here, but we were so taken by the enormity of it and the deeply personal nature of it. And we were with our good friend Peter Adair, a filmmaker who happened to be my mentor. And Peter looked at us and said, someone needs to make a film about this. And we went back to San Francisco and ran with that and met with the Names Project and found out that Cindy Reskin was working on a book about the quilt. And we met with Cindy and decided to partner in researching stories. And we were underway with that process, and then we got a call from Bill.
And I was in Los Angeles, and I was laying down 4 panels of the quilt at the Pauley Pavilion the first time that the AIDS quilt appeared in Southern California. It was the size of a basketball court. And I was in the middle of making a movie, and I wasn't getting along with my director, Hugh Hudson, who directed Chariots of Fire. And I remember saying to myself, I better get along with him because he could ban me from the set. And so I decided to invite him to the laying down of the panels. And I was laying down my boyfriends, 4 of them, and my friends were floating above me, and it was a very, very hard time. And I lay down in a fetal position on the quilt and just started to cry when I saw you, Hudson, come down from the eaves and saying to me, put your grief and anger into this film. Make a movie about the quilt. Bang, it was like a Liberty Bell fell on my head. And the first thing I did was call up Bill, who I knew from Dear America. And I mentioned it, and he said, well, we're doing it. And so,
Actually, Dear America is a segue. Let me do it quickly. I'd done a film for HBO called Dear America, which won its first Emmys, and it was premiered at Cannes and the Grand Palais, and it was a big deal for HBO. That was before HBO was HBO, right? I mean, it was the start.
Home box office.
Right. And it was the polka shows and stuff. So they were just trying. They could actually. Michael Fuchs, who used to run it, said, "I can't afford to do a movie. I can't afford to do a TV show, but I can afford to do a fucking doc." And that was not this one. That was some earlier ones. But anyhow, I did Dear America, big hit, and Michael Fuchs, who ran the place, said, "Bill, I'll let you do any movie you want to do." Which you never hear that. At least I never heard it. And I said, okay, well, great. And I was on the road with Dear America, and Kathy called, my wife, who had seen the quilt at Moscone Center. And she said, Bill, I've seen your next movie. And I said, well, I'll decide that. And she said, well, come see it. And when you come home, you just got to come see this because this is important. And I did, and it blew me away. And so I called Michael, and I said, Michael, I've got my next movie. It's on the AIDS quilt. And he said, oh, we can't do that. That's, AIDS, yuck. And he didn't mean, Michael actually was not a homophobe at all, but he was a commercial, network guy, and he just said no one's going to watch a movie about a quilt and gay guys dying. And I said, okay, well, why don't you see it? It's coming to New York. Go see it. And to give him credit, he went. He was there and I was there because it's a big deal. And he looked around and goes, okay, yeah, I got it. And he was like totally blowing it off. And I was like, oh, God. And then he looked down, and this is actually a true story. He looked down, and he was standing on a panel for Michael Fuchs. Same name, not different guy, obviously. And it just, it struck him that there before the grace of God goes he. And he said, okay, I'll do it, but you're going to get half as much money because no one's going to watch this thing. And then I had talked to Cleve, you had talked to Cleve, and Michael, and we said, let's do this together, and there it goes.